Well, it's quarantine here in Shreveport, and so Celeste and I thought, you know what, let's have a quarantine episode. In fact, while we're having a quarantine episode, let's have our friend Josh come in. So today on Geek Devotions, we're talking about quarantine and discipleship.
Welcome to Geek Devotions, a channel from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting you know that you are loved. My name is Captain Nostalgia, and I am the host and writer behind the podcast and entertainment website Victims and Villains. We are the marriage between pop culture and suicide prevention, and if you would like to hear more about our content and more about what we do as far as mental health awareness, suicide prevention, resources, hope, and value, check the links in the descriptions. But I'm here today to talk to you guys about quarantine. Quarantine hasn't been easy on any of us. This is a new social norm that has basically uprooted a lot of our routines and familiarities and has challenged us to evolve in the way that we work, the way that we socialize, and even how we disciple one another. The church has gone almost exclusively to digital platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo to broadcast their services. Pastors and worship leaders alike are looking to find new ways to feed their flocks. But to paraphrase Lecrae, what happens after these services stop? How is this new way of life affecting not only our walk with Christ, but also our walks and the way that we interact with one another? For some of us, this quarantine has been an endless cycle of shut-in behavior, sleeping in late, Netflix, and work if we have it. Some of us have grown attached to our pajamas as new uniforms, Saturday morning cartoons anymore, onesies, this guy right here. To those of you that are watching this video right now that are essential, thank you for everything that you are currently doing during this unprecedented time. Thank you to all the doctors, nurses, EMTs, firefighters, police officers, restaurant employees, and everyone else that is currently working during the pandemic and that I currently don't have time to list in this video. Thank you for your service, like seriously. Even the essential workers, though, could be experiencing higher hours and more of a demand with the jobs. So what do we do when we're talking about higher work hours for the essential workers and a homeward bound lifestyle for those of us that are stuck in quarantine? To the essential workers who haven't seen their families in weeks or even bordering on months, yeah, I'm talking about those commercials where you see doctors outside of sliding glass doors talking to their kids, those heartbreaking ones. To those of us that are stuck at home right now, missing our friends and family, what do we do? How do we take this new way of life? In the Pixar animated movie Onward, older brother Barley says a line that has struck me so profoundly these past couple of weeks. And I promise what I'm about to say is not a spoiler for the film, so if you guys haven't seen it, this is not giving away anything, but I will say that Onward is one of the finest 2020 releases that has been given to us so far, and it's highly recommendable. But he says this: on a quest, you have to use what you've got. Churches completely changed the way that we have done things, but has it really? In Genesis 37:24, and they took him and threw him into a pit.
The pit, and I fell into the pit. You fell into the pit. We all fell into the pit.
No, not that pit. Anyways, the pit was empty and there was water in it. And for some of us, we are making the sacrifices of distancing ourselves from our friends and family, while others just miss the simple luxuries of being able to go out and go to the movies or go shopping or just a number of different things. In life right now, it can feel like that pit. It can feel a lot like the one that we're reading here in Genesis. But whether you know the story or not, this is Joseph in this pit. Joseph's story is significant and encouraging, and only a few verses right before this one we read. And he said to them, "Hear this dream that I have dreamed. Behold, we are binding sheaves in the field. And behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Or are you indeed to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed another dream and said to his brothers, "Behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." But when he told it to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow ourselves to the ground before you?" See, God has birthed this dream within Joseph to rule. And though from the moment he hits this pit here in Genesis 37, this is where his story really begins. And this great peril that he faces along his journey to the throne. Yet in every season of strife that Joseph hits, God was always faithful. He always showed up for Joseph. And even in the midst of our quarantine season now, God is still going to show up. Just as God is faithful, because that's who God is. He is faithful forever. Equally, we need to do our part to be just as faithful. Because Jesus said, "Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And surely I am with you to the very end of the age." Jesus said that he would be with us to the end of the age. And while we enter into a new age of church, ministry, and discipleship, even though the layout looks differently, it doesn't stop our calling of the Great Commission. Though life may feel like the pit, and though we are searching for water, God is in control. His word says, "Take heart, because I have overcome this world." He says, "Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be satisfied." And he even says, "Be still and know that I am God." You have to make the most of what you have. And right now we have platforms like Facebook and Zoom, Skype, and FaceTime that allow us to stay connected, that allow us to continue teaching one another about what Jesus has said, keep each other accountable, and grow in accountability, grow in discipleship with one another. Not once did Jesus say that the Great Commission stops or pauses because of the pandemic or quarantines or whatever other world event takes place. In our state now, go and make disciples.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Geek Devotions. Josh, thank you so much for being a guest this week and bringing that great word about discipleship. And if you guys enjoyed the content Josh brought, do us a favor. Make sure you check out his podcast and his website. Links are in the description down below. That being said, I want to encourage you guys, don't forget to check out our podcast, Com Talk by Geek Devotions. Celeste is doing some quarantine episodes. Also, check out our website, geekdevotions.com. And don't forget to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geek Devotions. That being said, guys, until next week, stay devoted. Peace and love.